Hello listeners, welcome to the newest instalment of Favourite Fight, the section of the My Girlfriend Does Like Robots podcast where I go through and talk about my favourite fights from each episode of Battlebots 2020. This one was a real quality episode. There was some really good, the fight card that they got, we had some real good potential across all the fights pretty much. Like, there's always going to be a good chance for an upset in all of them. It was good to see Hijinks get another fight. I really like Hijinks, they're one of my favourite ones this season. And obviously going into Chomp, they were 1-1. Like the loss to Claw Viper was alright, and then the win over Tracer, which is something. I guess I think probably a particularly thick piece of air could beat Tracer, but you know. So going to the Chomp fight was always going to be really good because it's. I like what they did with it. They didn't sort of pit it as like it's women against women or whatever, like this and the other. It was like, no, they both builders, they say they look up to each other. They're very sort of inspirational role models to each other. And it was good to see Hijinks like dish out some proper damage because I think he took out like half the legs that Chomp had. I know one of them that we saw was like stuck up, one of the little appendages of it was sort of stuck up in the air. They couldn't get it moving. It must have been a bastard of a repair job. Would have been nice to see the because they highlighted a few of the fights. Obviously, the Tracer fight against Hijinks got highlighted. It would have been nice to see the Chomp Ghost Raptor fight because this is what I don't get, because it was in all the trailer stuff. Because there's the clip of it where Chomp is shooting at its flamethrower and then Ghost Raptor's going around the edge of it. So they use that in pretty much all of the marketing that we saw from it. So I don't know why they put all that in the main trailers where that was going to be like at least a semi-decent fight, unless it was just a really quick one and done, because Ghost Raptor got the win. So I don't know what they did with it. It must have been either really, really dull or really, really quick, which I guess is both things, really. I do also want to give a shout out to Craig Danby, because this has been an absolute stonker of a season for him. Like, SlamMow is the best machine he's ever built. Like, I love Foxtrot, I really liked last year. And Foxtrot in Robot Wars was there. But SlamMow is absolutely streaks ahead of it. Because it's like going into this, it gave Danby his first proper TV win, which was really good. Going into the Witch Doctor fight, he was 2-0 with 2 KOs, I think. Yes, it was 2 KOs. So even the fact he's got a winning record for a start is good enough. And then going up. And then obviously they think he's doing in good stead enough to go up against the runner-up from last year in Witch Doctor, who this is like the runner-up curse, because like the second place from last year, and they've just been having problem after problem, because obviously in both the Hydra fight and the Kraken fight, both their discs shattered and they just couldn't drive with it at all, really. And this was like there was a very real chance that SlamMow could have gone 3-0. It would have been lovely to. And he wasn't exactly far off it. I think he only got KO'd with about 20 seconds to go. I think if it had gone the distance, Witch Doctor still would have taken it because of damage, and they were a bit more aggressive because they were always going straight. Aside from the tribe where they went straight at the wall, just went for SlamMow and just completely whiffed it and just donked straight into the wall, was fucking hilarious. It was a really good fight. SlamMow is one of the strongest damping machines we've seen in forever, really. And the amount of abuse it took from Witch Doctor, it took taking off basically one half of the wheels on one side of SlamMow for it to be stopped and then counted out, which was a miracle. Oh, it was mad. It was a really good. I was really hoping Danby could have gone 3-0. Like, it was a bit of a pipe dream, but like, if he's 2-1 now with 2 KOs, I think, and a very good loss to Witch Doctor, I'd be amazed if he doesn't make the bracket at 2-1, 2 KOs and a good loss. Even if he makes it the sort of like high teens, low 20s, I think you could argue for it. Sort of middle of the bracket, maybe slightly either side of it, is probably about right for what I'd say for SlamMow. And it seems to have been the trend throughout the whole season. My favourite fight was again the main event, Black Dragon vs Copperhead, because this was just going to be, it was always going to be a bit of a slugfest. Like, you look at Black Dragon's fight against Minotaur in the Desperado last year, and that was just back and forth, back and forth, back and forth to the dying end, and that went to the judges as well, I think. And this was going to be the same thing, because Copperhead has just been on fire this season. 2 very quick and very convincing KOs, then against the Desperado winner and whatever, I think they got like 10th or 11th place in the bracket last year. This was going to be a brilliant fight. And like all the little prep and stuff that they did for it, like the artwork, what they put on the drum of Copperhead in sort of preparation for their fight was gorgeous to look at. Like Robert Callan did a great video showing that it was his wife that did all the because she did all the artwork on Copperhead itself, and she did the little sort of tribal dragon versus snake mural thing on the side of the drum. It looked amazing. Both of these machines going into it, I think, equipped themselves about as well as they could. The egg beater what Black Dragon chose was the best one they could have gone with, because I think obviously in the Kraken fight they used the 2 discs, which sort of worked, and then who was their other fight? Claw Viper. I think they used that one as well. It wasn't. I think that might have been a wedge situation. Like this was about right with what they went with, and yeah, the hit. I think Copperhead had the upper hand through most of the fight, where they were being maybe a bit more aggressive, managed to take out the weapon belts, both of the weapon belts on Black Dragon in the first couple of hits, and throw them upside down, throw them into the driver's pod bit, which is mad. You see everyone sort of recoil in fear. I don't blame you. And it was Copperhead beating on Black Dragon a lot, and Black Dragon is not a weak machine by any stretch of the imagination, because the amount of power that's in Copperhead is insane this year. Like it's this year's Minotaur. Like, even in just the sound of it, the death hum what that thing creates is nuts. It was gorgeous. Both robots were obviously, with what little weapon power Black Dragon still had, couldn't really do a lot, but they were still, even if they were upside down for basically the entire fight, and were still able to drive around, still get some good hits in, and at least try and show the judges what they were doing, even if it was just Copperhead just creating sparks against them and just throwing them about everywhere. I'm not surprised it went the full 3 minutes, because like both robots are just bricks with drums on them, and it was always going to be a great fight. And yeah, Copperhead at 3-0, two great knockouts, and a very solid fight against Black Dragon. They've got to be in the top bit of the bracket, at least the top 8, I'd say. They must be. I really want Copperhead to go all the way. If you can at least make quarterfinals, I'll be happy. Because Copperhead's is one of my favourites. It wouldn't be silly money to say it could win the whole thing, really. It wouldn't be silly money at all. And there's not many teams at 3-0, so you've got Copperhead, Mad Catter, Jackpot. There's someone else I can't remember, and I should be remembering that. But yeah, like even those as a sort of the 3-0 bots in just that part, those 4, there's going to be some great fights. Even if Copperhead only makes quarterfinals, I'll still be happy. It's a bot. I loved it last year, and it could go a very long way in the competition this year. So yeah, that's my thoughts on my favourite fight from Battlebots 2020 episode 9, the main event, Black Dragon vs Copperhead. Leave your comments down below. Let me know, was this your favourite fight? What was yours? What did you think of the episode as a whole, really? Social media links and stuff will be in the description below. And I'll see you next time.